sounds like the mic I had the other day.
Could somebody get Sergio's mic working?
Is this working?
Is the button on the mic? The on button on? On the top of it. At the top of it.
It's going to be a great pass.
I'm fine, okay. All right. While we're getting the microphones, these guys have nothing to say anyway. While we're getting the microphones going, so I'm at the New York Comic Convention in April, and I'm standing there talking to Al Jaffe, who was mobbed by his many admirers. And suddenly I look at my email, and I got an email from Al Felsen saying, "I'm coming to the comic convention." And I turn to Jaffe and I say, "Hey, let's do a panel with Feldstein. We'll get Sergio on it. Maybe I can get Arnie Kogan to come down." And they go, "Great," because these guys are real friends of one another. And they were excited. And I think it's exciting to get them all together at the same time. How many people were reading Mad Magazine when these guys ruled? Yeah. How many people realize that 3 of the 4 of them are still working for Mad?
Thank you for contributing to my retirement.
If you've been here, yesterday we talked at length to Al Jaffe and Al Feldstein about their pre-Mad careers. My first issue of Mad Magazine was number 70, the issue where Alfred was leaping over the barrels, ice skating, and another guy was leaping at him the opposite direction, which, by the way, was the last cover that Kelly Freas painted for the magazine. He wasn't the last one printed, it was the last one he painted.
Really?
Yes. Anyway, between the time number 70 came out and I bought it, and the time number 71 came out 6 weeks later, I hit every secondhand bookshop in Los Angeles, so I had a near-complete collection of Mad. I couldn't figure out why I couldn't find any issues older than number 25, but I had every magazine issue of Mad, and from this day forward, Mad has been one of my favorite publications. And at one point, if you'd asked me what I want to do for a living, I would have said, I want to be the editor of Mad Magazine. And we have at my left here the gentleman who was the editor of Mad Magazine for 28 years, the man who took it, 29 years, who took it, he's editing me now, he took it from being let's face it, it was a somewhat successful magazine that didn't come out very often. And he got it on schedule, and he put together an entire staff from scratch, because the old staff left just before he took it over. And he put together the New York Yankees of humor magazines and built it into the #1 humor publication in the history of mankind. This is Mr. Al Feldstein, ladies and gentlemen. And he did it by finding talent, putting together a crew of people who were so good that for decades, Mad had the same people every issue. They were all that good. They couldn't get rid of anybody. They couldn't improve on it. One of the first new writers they found, and went on soon to become one of the top comedy writers of television. This man has 3 Emmy Awards for Empty Nest, I believe.
They're all from Carol Burnett.
No, from Carol Burnett. And he worked on Empty Nest. He worked on the Bob Newhart Show. This is Mr. Arnie Kogan, ladies and gentlemen. If you were at the quick draw, you saw 2,400 people get up and give a well-deserved standing ovation to Mr. Al Jaffe. My friend and the man who's been in Mad Magazine since issue 64, is it? 67? No. It was 1960. No. When was your first issue?
62, issue 1967.
Issue 67 in 1962. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Sergio Aragon.
I just want to say one thing before we start. These 3 guys on my left, your right, are responsible for why you applauded me because I was the editor. Because I would have been a garbage man if it wasn't for the talent of these guys that came into my office and saved me and my life because I had to get this whole new staff together. And I have to say something about Arnie, for example. Arnie, we found him in the mail. His stuff, I mean, not him.
I was in the mail also, but that's another story.
Yeah, well, okay, but we didn't open that book and stuff. And he started to write for us and everything, and then he got ambitious and he wanted to go to Hollywood, and he went off with two other of the writers that we found in the mail, Larry Siegel and Stan Hart. And they all went to Hollywood, and I understand that the doors opened because you had written for Mad
That's a
Magazine.
tremendous credit. All the stuff I've done in Mad Magazine is still the biggest credit.
Well, I must say that and because of that, these guys, Arnie and Stan and Larry, whenever I called them, and they were making this big money in television, and we had this rather penurious clause who didn't pay very much. Whenever I called them to do a story for us, they never turned me down, and they worked for our crummy rate and did a TV show or a movie or whatever I asked them for. And I thank you for that.